I think it's economic kamikaze. It's let's tax money and hope things get better. Let's create higher inflation for the Japanese people who were barely seeing wage growth. And let's amp up the currency battles and hope everything gets better. I think it's insane. I think when the old saying, if you get in a hole, stop digging, and they keep digging. And I think the 5-4 vote was evidence that Kuroda got a lot of pushback to get this through. And if this means now that they're out of bullets with QE and this is their last hope, then I think this is a mess. And I think this is a bad choice on his part. And I don't think we're going to get a different result.
Ed, what does this do to the Federal Reserve? Does it add additional pressure for them not to raise rates, just so we're not going in the going full speed ahead while the Bank of Japan and the ECB are moving the opposite direction?
Well, as you pointed out in your opening comments, markets had gotten very oversold in January.
That's what you think.
And we expected that to generate a policy response. Policymakers were going to try to lean against this because they don't want financial conditions to tighten so much that it further damages growth. So we saw the Fed back off a little bit on its language.
Not as much as some people had been anticipating.
We saw the Bank of Japan respond here, and I think the ECB is going to step up asset purchases in March. So I think this is likely to generate a relief rally. I think it's probably going to be short-term in nature. I do think we're going to have a lousy year in U.S. and global stocks. But I don't think this is the beginning of a new bear market. But you think a lousy year, meaning things will go down from here even? No, I think we probably rally from here to end the year. But 2015 was a pretty unrewarding year in U.S. stocks, and I think 2016 is going to be deja vu all over again. Peter, you said financial kamikaze. That's something you think the Japanese are inflicting on themselves. What does it mean for us in terms of U.S. stocks? What's your take?
Well, if they're trying to steal growth through weakening their currency, it affects everybody. And the irony of this whole thing is that the markets love the Japanese in weakening their currency. They love the Europeans when they weaken the euro, but everyone freaks out when the Chinese try to weaken the yuan. But I think it's all reflective of global growth that is barely growing and central bankers that have just really run out of bullets to keep things afloat. And the problem is that we've inflated the valuations of asset prices so far above what underlying fundamentals are, and that we're now beginning to see some catch-up. And that's the unfortunate thing in terms of multiple compression, which I expect to see.
You think it's not China, it's not North Korea, it's not ISIS, it's not the Middle East, it's not any of these things. It's the last 7 years of ZIRP.
Right, and that we inflated asset prices so far above the underlying fundamentals. Right. And the central bankers pull away.
This is the converse.
And now asset prices will catch up to the underlying fundamentals. So it's a good thing that we can focus on fundamentals. The problem is that asset prices got so far above fundamentals.
So you think even with the declines that we've seen in the first month of the year, that there's more trouble to come?
Unfortunately. I mean, look at the futures this morning. I woke up, they were up 20, and then we're giving it back because if central bankers lose their influence, multiples are going to compress.
It's nice to be able to just travel around the world looking for any signs of easing anywhere, though. I mean, any given day, we got Draghi last week, turned us around, then you got China does something that they ease. Now, today, we're going to get a little boost from Japan easing. It's called the shots for 5 years.
Right.
It still is.
And unfortunately, it's beginning to wear off the impact.
How good it is.
And that's the problem.